one of the biggest surprises coming out of these 2025 Grammy nominations has got to be Andre 3000 being nominated for Album of the Year, not just a genre-specific category, but the major Album of the Year award. Andre 3000 was nominated with New Blue Sun. And for anyone who doesn't think that's a surprise, look who he's up against in terms of like the genre, the poppiness of the other nominees here. You've got Sabrina Carpenter, Short and Sweet. You've got Beyonce with Cowboy Carter, Jacob Collier, which was another one of those dark horse picks, but he was nominated with Jess Volume 4, Charlie XCX with Brat. I mean, it was a Brat summer. Billie Eilish with Hit Me Hard and Soft, Chappell Roan with Chappell Roan, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, and Taylor Swift, the all-time leader in Grammy Album of the Year wins with The Tortured Poets Department. And then you've got Andre 3000 with an ambient jazz album, New Blue Sun, where Andre's playing an assortment of different flutes to very mellow, jazzy, again, ambient backdrops. It was like produced by Carlos Nino. This is not a genre that has seen a lot of spotlight in an Album of the Year category, especially anywhere near the modern era. I mean, this isn't the 1960s, Henry Mancini era. And if you couple this nomination with what the perception was when Andre released this album, a lot of the hip hop community was kind of laughing. Like, people have been wanting the next Outkast album since the last Outkast album. And the last actual Outkast album, I'm not talking about the Idlewild soundtrack, but the last proper Outkast album, Speaker Box The Love Below, dropped 21 years ago. This was 2023. That was the one with, I Like the Way You Move on the Big Boy side, and Hey Ya and Roses. That's that Caroline, Caroline. And again, this was 2003. And by the way, that Outkast album won for Album of the Year. So people have been wanting the next Outkast album since 2003. And instead of getting an album from Andre 3000 where he's rapping, singing, and doing all of that, we get this total instrumental album. I mean, we've known for years that he's been into playing the flute. He was spotted in just random public places, just walking around with his flute or playing his flute, just running into people on the street who want to take pictures. It's like, oh my God, that's Andre 3000 just walking around playing the flute. And so it became kind of like a running joke for a lot of people. I mean, Key and Peele did a whole skit on Andre 3000's departure from hip hop and his growing love of just playing the flute and how that must have made a lot of Outkast fans feel. And so Andre finally announces that he's releasing an album, but again, it's a jazzy, ambient, instrumental album. And you just saw the virality of people clowning that album, like a lot of, big time pundits, like, big names in the hip hop sphere and just in music in general, just kind of confused by the curveball saying, what are you doing, Andre? That kind of thing, to the point where Andre, has not had to defend himself or defend his decision to make this kind of an album, but at least has been explaining why he hasn't been making hip hop albums, why he hasn't felt moved to and compelled to make hip hop albums, and that this is just the wave that he's on. And that just simply didn't sit well with a lot of, hip hop fans and Outkast fans. Now, some appreciated it. And I think that over time, over the course of this past year, more and more people have kind of grown open to trying to appreciate the album through a different lens, right? So if you're expecting Outkast, this ain't it for you, right? But although when a lot of people first heard the album, they didn't like it. They didn't know what to make of it. I mean, I listened to a ton of ambient music. I mean, I'm a big like Tim Hecker fan, and Mary Lattimore, Greenhouse. There's so many different ambient artists from different eras. You've got the godfathers of the game like Philip Glass and Brian Eno, and then over the years you've had like Aphex Twin and a lot of people doing ambient music, and you've had some artists who are non-ambient artists who experiment by doing an ambient album, like Sufjan Stevens, 9 Inch Nails. Trent Reznor's been scoring a lot of stuff lately. Some of that stuff is more ambient, and the last 9 Inch Nails album was an ambient album. So you've got a lot of artists that create other forms of music, but then came around and gave the ambient genre a shot. So I've grown over the past several years to have a deep appreciation and enjoyment out of ambient or ambient jazz music. But if this wasn't your kind of thing genre-wise, I could get why it's a head scratcher, but I think that over time, Andre did like a residency type of concert. He's been playing, live performances and stuff. So we've had enough time to marinate on it collectively to try to, again, appreciate it through a different lens. And I really think that especially the people who were voting for these things in the Recording Academy, I think that one, Andre 3000 is just a beloved figure. I think two, a lot of people found it very interesting and even inspiring that he's really just kind of going with his heart and with what drives him in making this new Blue Sun album. So I think that that's what contributed to him being nominated here. Again, I just was not expecting to see his name up for Best New Album. I thought if anything, New Blue Sun would have been nominated for like one of the instrumental categories, like a new age / ambient, something like that, or one of the jazz categories. I thought that it might pop up there, or again, the new age / ambient album of the year. I thought that if anywhere, it would have only been there, or maybe like, I don't know, album artwork or something totally unrelated. But to see it here, again, this was incredible. Again, look at the other nominees and the styles of music that they make. Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and you've got New Blue Sun, an ambient jazz album. Go figure. But what I hope becomes a byproduct of this nomination, I don't expect them to win Album of the Year, but just the nomination, I hope, exposes more people, or at least gets more people curious to listen to not only Andre 3000's ambient and ambient jazz music, but other artists as well. I swear, it's like unlocking a door to a whole other portal, so much to explore. Not all ambient music is the same thing. You've got, environmental ambient, you've got industrial ambient, you've got drone style, Tangerine Dream style music. You've got barely there atmospheric music, like this artist Warmth is one of those. You've got different styles of ambient that have like little light chimes or bell sounds. It could be very soothing. I love working to the music. Again, it's just not pop music. It's not anything that most people are just putting in their car and driving around to or creating Spotify playlists with. This is an alternative pick for Album of the Year, if there ever was one. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Andre 3000 being nominated with New Blue Sun. Again, I feel like it started off as being perceived as a joke, and over time, people have started to take it more seriously. And I hope that this is also encouraging, not that Andre 3000 necessarily needs that type of encouragement, but he's human like everybody else is. I hope that he finds it heartening that people are starting, at least some people, at least the Recording Academy, are starting to really appreciate New Blue Sun. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. And it's not like this album was like critically shut down. I mean, it wasn't critically exalted, but there was some critical praise. And it's almost a difficult style and genre of music to really rate or rank like you would hip hop or pop, or some of the styles that we have more guardrails and standards that are kind of set within the culture. This New Blue Sun is truly free flowing. So, some of the songs are like 18 to 20 minutes long. So it might be an acquired taste for some. I would just encourage you to give it a shot. I'm glad and surprised as hell that it's nominated here for Album of the Year. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.